So we've been doing NFL playoff coverage on this channel all week, and that is going to continue right up into Wild Card Weekend. If you're interested in the Eagles-Buccaneers matchup, I have a lot to say about that one. We're going to be doing that breakdown later tonight, so stay tuned for that. If you want to see some of the breakdown videos I already made of the playoff matchups, there's going to be a link in the description of that. And another quick thing is Bill Belichick was officially fired today. If you want to hear my thoughts on that, I did a video about a week ago on potential landing spots for Bill Belichick. There will be a link in the description for that if you want to hear my thoughts on that. But for this video, we're simply just going to rank all the playoff teams. And this is simply just based on my confidence level in them winning the Lombardi. So let's get into the official rankings here. Starting off in dead last place is my team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love my team, but I'm realistic about my team. And I know that there's next to 0% chance, let alone getting to the Super Bowl, obviously even winning this game against the Buffalo Bills, in which we're 10-point underdogs. I could see that line even going higher before kickoff happens. If TJ Watt was playing this game, I would give the Steelers probably a 5 or 10% chance, a puncher's chance to win this game, because that's how much of a game changer, a game wrecker TJ Watt is when he plays. I've seen him single-handedly win the Steelers games this year. So if he was playing, there would be some sort of an outside chance. But with him playing, I'm going to put the Steelers at literally a 0% chance of winning this game. It just comes down to the quarterback gap. I mean, as much as Rudolph has impressed me, it's been against non-playoff caliber teams. The Bengals, the Seahawks, both those teams missed playoffs. And then, of course, the Ravens playing like their second and third strings. And we struggled to win in that game. So I don't have very much confidence. And the Bills, they're one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. They went 6-1 to finish the year. Josh Allen is making a case as the best player in football. I know he has a lot of turnovers, but like I said, without Watt playing this game, I just don't think the Steelers have a realistic chance to keep up with that high-powered production Allen brings. So coming in at 13th place, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they have a much better shot of actually winning their wild card weekend game than the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, Baker Mayfield's clearly not at 100% health, taking that rib shot from Tyrann Mathieu. If he was at 100% health, I would have no problem picking the Bucs over the Eagles. With the Eagles basically self-imploding and me having like zero faith in their coaching staff, I think this would be the perfect storm. The Buccaneers could beat them. However, Baker Mayfield is clearly not at 100%, and the Bucs are only going to go as far as Baker. Baker's been incredible this year. I think just looking at his stats, you could maybe even argue he's like a top 12, 10 quarterback just for this season. He was really, really good, highly productive. It's just like we said, the injury really concerns me, and I don't think they're going to get past Philly with him not playing 100%. And at 12th place, we have the Green Bay Packers, one of the youngest teams to ever make the playoffs in NFL history. So they're definitely playing with house money. They've really turned things up, especially Jordan Love. Post-Thanksgiving, Jordan Love has been sensational, especially that last week against the Bears to get into the playoffs. He was incredible in that game. My official prediction, I did take the Cowboys, but this is definitely a game to watch for an upset alert. I think that the Packers, they match up well with the Cowboys, and I think that they have a coaching advantage. I would take Matt LaFleur over Mike McCarthy. They're 7.5 underdogs. I would take the Packers with the points in this matchup. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. The Packers still have a more than capable defense. I know the Cowboys have been really good at home this season, but it's been mostly against a lot of bad quarterbacks. It's a lot of Jets and Giants and Commanders. So now that they're playing a team that I think is really hot and has a lot of momentum going in their favor, definitely a team to watch out for. And at number 11, we have the Miami Dolphins, a team that I've been really high on this entire year. I just think that they're kind of crumbling due to their injuries at the worst possible time. Losing both your best pass rushers in Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips is terrible. That's a gaping hole for their defense. And literally every member of their secondary is questionable to play in the game, especially Xavier Howard, who's doubtful. So all that, it's very bad, very, very bad timing for the Dolphins. Also, Jalen Waddle's questionable to play. It's just like they're stacking up key injuries at the worst possible time. And I think that they got probably their worst possible first-round matchup. Going to Arrowhead in below freezing temperatures, I just don't know what to expect from Tua and that Dolphins offense in the frigid weather. So I just think momentum, they have zero, and they're just decimated by injuries. And at number 10, we have the evil, rotten, stinking Cleveland Browns, who are going to Houston in what I think is going to be a pretty fun game, in that I think it's kind of a coin flip. My biggest concern with this team and why I don't have faith in a long playoff run for them is I just don't know how long this Joe Flacco run can last. I get it, it's been a cool story, but at the end of the day, it is 40-year-old Joe Flacco. There's a reason why this guy was sitting on his couch midway through the season, is because it's 40-year-old Joe Flacco. And I just don't see it being able to be sustainable, especially against playoff-level teams and much more talented quarterbacks. But they do have a saving grace, is their defense is incredible and can win them any game. And at number 9 is the Houston Texans. They're here simply for the fact that they have C.J. Stroud, who I think is already easily a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Anytime you have a guy that talented at the quarterback position, you're going to be in any game, on top of the fact that DeMeco Ryans has really schemed out a very capable defense here. So I think they're legitimately going to be in any game. It's just going to come down to their lack of experience. They're a very young team. Now at number 8, we started to get to some teams that have realistic playoff expectations, starting with the Philadelphia Eagles. You talk about a fall from grace with this team. This was a team that was 10-1 earlier this season and finished the year 11-6. And I think it really comes down to one simple fact, and that is their coach is just not good enough. I don't think Nick Sirianni is a good head coach. I think he was extremely elevated by his elite coordinators with Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. Losing both those guys was my biggest concern for this team heading into the year. And early on, it looked like it wasn't really going to matter much, but it's really caught up with them. Their offense is extremely predictable now, and their defense has fallen off a cliff. So I don't see this as a team that can just flip a switch now that the playoffs have started. I think they have real structural flaws. They do have some key injuries, specifically to A.J. Brown, and I don't have much confidence in this team. And you don't have to take my word for it. The results speak for themselves. Go look at some of their pitiful performances, especially the final week of the regular season. Losing to the New York Giants in a game that kind of mattered to them, because if you win that game, you have a chance of winning the division. So this game mattered to the Eagles. They lost to the Tyrod Taylor Giants. Tyrod Taylor looked like prime Joe Montana out there. I mean, that is, I think, one of the biggest indictments on this team, and I think they have zero momentum entering the playoffs. And staying in the NFC East, at number 7, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Some people might have them higher on their list. Well, not me. I think there always seems to be a yearly public amnesia with the Cowboys. People forget that this happens every season. They have a really good regular season. I think they've won 12 games their past 3 seasons. And they get to the playoffs and they completely just collapse. And it comes down to, I don't think Dak performs well in the big games. I gave him credit in the regular season. He did look better in some of the games, but still in the big ones, they lost. They lost that first game against Philly. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Dolphins. They only have one win this year against a team above 500. And I also just don't trust Mike McCarthy at all when it comes to situational football. I think he's terrible at just overall clock management. I think that's costed them several games, specifically playoff games. And so those things being said, I just don't have as much confidence in them as some other people might. I still put them at 7 just for the fact that they are an extremely talented roster. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL. CeeDee Lamb, I think, is the second best receiver in the entire league behind Tyreek Hill. And Dak, it really comes down to which version of Dak you're getting, because he really is that inconsistent. So I think they're talented but extremely flawed. At number 6, we have the most underrated team going into the playoffs. That is the Los Angeles Rams. They've won 7 of their last 8 games, and that one loss was against the Baltimore Ravens in an overtime shootout. I think they're red hot. They got all the momentum going for them. They would have won more games. It just took McVay a little bit of time to integrate those rookies, but they hit on 3 key rookies at really important positions with Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, and Kobe Turner. They're all already high-end NFL starters. And just having a top 3 head coach with Sean McVay, you're going to have the coaching matchup advantage in basically every matchup you have throughout the playoffs. So I think that they just have a lot going for them right now. And a big part of why they won that Super Bowl was because Stafford went on an incredible playoff hot streak. And I think that could happen again this year, especially now that he has 2 number 1 receivers in Puka and Cooper Kupp. And at number 5, we have the Detroit Lions. So if they get past the Rams in what is going to be an incredible game, I think that's a really hard test for the Lions. But if they're able to get past the Rams, I think that they have one of the best shots, because Their roster is incredible. I mean, one of the most unsung parts about this team is their GM, because the drafts they've had the past couple of years have been incredible. They got playmakers all over this team. They've built up a top 3 offensive line in the NFL. They have the best running back tandem in the NFL between Montgomery and Gibbs. And I do have some concerns about this team, most notably their secondary, but they're getting their best secondary player back just in time for playoffs. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was a massive, integral part to the Eagles making the Super Bowl last year, and I really like the construction of this team. Dan Campbell has really won me over. I think that there's some good momentum here, and they're going to be like on top of the world if they beat the Rams, because when's the last time the Lions won a playoff game? And at number 4, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that this is considered a down year for the Chiefs, but a down year for the Chiefs is an 11-win season and hosting a playoff game. I think that they are going to beat the Dolphins, and I think that they'd be live to beat any other of the AFC teams. They've had the Bills' number for years now. The Ravens, I still think, are unproven. Last time the Ravens were the 1 seed, they lost their first playoff game. So the Chiefs, I think they're capable of beating any other of the top AFC teams. You still have what I consider the best player in the world, Patrick Mahomes. I know a lot of you guys don't. I put out that poll asking, do you still think Mahomes is the best quarterback? I think like 80% of you guys said he's not, which is kind of crazy to me. I get he's had a down season, but like I said, his down season is 11 wins, which is insane. So you have him, you have Andy Reid. You're going to win most of your coaching matchups having Andy Reid being your head coach. So I know they've had a weird year, but it's still the Chiefs, and they've had, this is probably the best defense that they've had in the Mahomes era, which is going to keep them in any game. At number 3, we have the Buffalo Bills. So like we just said with the Chiefs, they've always had the Bills' number in the past couple of years now, but this should be the season that the Bills would be able to beat the Chiefs if they matched up in the playoffs. With the lack of production from the Chiefs receivers, with Travis Kelce taking a step back and their offense looking really stagnant, if they matched up, the Bills should beat the Chiefs this year, because it would be in Buffalo. And Buffalo, just as a whole, Josh Allen is sensational. I mean, this is the year. It's wide open for the Bills. Josh Allen's incredible. I get he has the interception problem, but in the key moments, he makes the right plays. And I get he has a lot of turnovers, but he's just so highly productive, having over 40 total touchdowns. I just sign me up for that. I don't care. And they went 6-1 since firing Ken Dorsey to close out this season now. Their defense is playing really well. I think they have a lot of momentum, and being that 2 seed, having basically a playoff, having a home playoff game for every round other than playing Baltimore is extremely crucial. And I think that they have one of the best home field advantages in the league, just with their fans, and we know how cold it can get there. And at number 2, we have the Baltimore Ravens, the 1 seed in the AFC, and Lamar Jackson is going to win the MVP this year. This team is phenomenal. I mean, you look at just from every unit, they have incredible players. Lamar Jackson, this is the best version he has ever been. Really grown as a passer and as a runner, too. I think he has so much more awareness now. He's sliding more than taking the big hits. This is the best receiving core he's ever had. Zay Flowers is a stud. OBJ provides that stability. He was really good in that Super Bowl. The limited time he played in that Super Bowl with the Rams, he was really good, so he has the playoff experience. And then the defense, of course, is just sensational. I mean, it's one of the premier defenses in the entire NFL. So I'm very high on the Ravens. However, the only reason they're not at number 1 is they kind of have to prove it to me, because the last time they were the 1 seed, the last time they looked this good and dominant as a team was 2019. They won 14 games in the regular season, and they went on to lose their first playoff game. So I think that this is a much better team than then. I think Lamar's a much better player than now, but I can't put them at number 1 just until I see them prove it. And my Super Bowl favorite is the San Francisco 49ers. Player for player, this is the best roster in the entire league. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and an elite offensive line to go with Brock Purdy. I know who had a skid in the middle part of the season, but he's back to form right now. And we saw last year in the playoffs, before he got hurt, he was playing really good for a rookie. And the defense, they got playmakers all over this defense, and they have the best coach in the NFL. I know a lot of people consider Andy Reid to be the best, but for me, I would take Kyle Shanahan. I think he is the best head coach in the NFL. I really think he is. And this is the Niners' window to win the Super Bowl. It's this year alone. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl in this current rendition of the team because you're going to start losing guys. Like the fact that they have this much talent on one roster is mind-boggling. You're not going to be able to keep all these guys, whether it's to age, whether it's to budget restrictions, anything. Like I think you're going to lose Brandon Ayuk this offseason unless you get rid of someone else. How can you afford Brandon Ayuk? He's a $20+ million guy at the receiver position. You're already paying Debo. You're already paying Fred Warner. You're already paying Christian McCaffrey. You're eventually, down the line, going to have to pay Brock Purdy something. So I think to get it done, this would be the year to do it. You are the 1 seed. You get the bye. You have all these talented players. They're all healthy. This is the year the Niners need to get it done. That's been my ranking of all the playoff teams. You made it this far. Really appreciate it. Please let me know your list in the comments. Thanks for watching.